Top Dolla was just released by the WWE. Hit Row is gone. Now Top Dolla responds. AJ Francis has responded to some of the crazy things that are being said about them backstage. He even says he can spill the tea in WWE, but he's a professional. I'm going to give you guys my 2 cents on that story. Also, an AEW wrestler is unhappy with their position in the company. This is not very common to hear about, but it is very understandable. Also, on top of that, Miro fires back at ex-WWE stars being labeled as WWE guys in AEW. This is something that often gets asked about in my comment section, so I'm also going to respond while Miro has already done so. So, if you guys want more videos like this, you already know what to do. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. I'm bringing you daily videos. We still haven't missed a day, so just keep that in mind. We're going to kick things off with Miro. If you guys are unfamiliar with what Miro has been going through, his career in AEW has been pretty crazy. It's been pretty good. Obviously, former TNT champion. Things didn't always come out that way. When he first debuted with the company, there was a lot of backlash, especially because of the stuff that we've seen with Miro and Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. Now, this is some really cool stuff from Miro because he's come out and he said, look, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, and me and Moxley, none of us are WWE guys that everybody calls it. These people have been around the world way before WWE, so when somebody says this guy is WWE, absolutely incorrect. God made me, not Vince McMahon. It was just a place to do professional wrestling because there was no other option, but now there are plenty of other options and exciting options. So you might be wondering why I'm even talking about Miro addressing this. Well, what often happens is when we reference somebody in pro wrestling, we reference them based on their affiliation with the company they're with. So sometimes we will say, AEW star or WWE star, and we might be referencing somebody who is obviously not a big wrestling household name, right? It's kind of like this. When we talk about CM Punk being in AEW, obviously, we know CM Punk's storied, incredible, historical indie wrestling career, but he came from WWE. So we're not saying WWE made these people. We're just referencing them based on where they came from. Because yes, Miro is absolutely correct. Vince McMahon didn't make most of these guys. Okay, maybe Roman Reigns you can kind of argue because he came through the developmental system, but guys like Cesaro, guys like, at this point, there's so many. Cesaro and Ricochet and whatever, right? There are so many people. Moxley, Danielson, Punk. These guys all were something before WWE. It's just a thing that's being referenced, and I definitely want to put a little, I want to talk about that a little bit because I think sometimes people think we truly believe that WWE created them. They didn't, and we all know that. And I'm glad that Miro spoke out about this because I think more wrestlers need to speak out about this. Unless WWE single-handedly developed you, you're not a WWE superstar. You are not defined by the wrestling company you are assigned to. That's for sure. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Top Dolla. If you guys are unfamiliar with Top Dolla, he is from Hit Row. This stuff gets crazy. He has come out. He's responded to some tweets from Cultaholic. So Cultaholic Wrestling tweeted out a new report article. Top Dolla rubbed people the wrong way backstage in WWE. AJ Francis then responded with, Here's what rubs people the wrong way. Standing up for your own. When Brie was released and I called the office myself to tell them they made a mistake. Standing up for yourself. People in the Performance Center told me Hit Row wouldn't work for a year and a half and I never took their advice. Trust me, I got plenty of stories I can tell you about how I was disrespected but just took it on the chin like a professional. Even with the video I released today, it was all professionalism. But I'm not going to let these BS reports ruin my reputation. I got tea I can spill too. Now, the biggest thing about Top Dolla that I think a lot of internet fans had definitely, paid attention to was this guy is incredibly talented, but he is taking shots on Twitter at the wrong people. The whole thing with the Young Bucks and stuff like that, I think that rubbed people the wrong way, regardless if it was a work, regardless if it was a shoot. I think a lot of people genuinely just didn't like it. They felt like this guy never really put in the work to get there. Obviously, his time in WWE was pretty short. It wasn't like he traveled the indies and became this big name in a 25-year span. That's how people saw it. Now, a lot of people didn't know, obviously, AJ Francis was an indie wrestler at one point, and also on top of that, he was a host, obviously a football player, things like that. I actually like Top Dollar. I thought he was really good. The reports of him rubbing people the wrong way, my biggest thing I can say is like after every single set of releases, people immediately cling on to these reports. Bray Wyatt, oh, he was reportedly an issue backstage. Keith Lee, reportedly was an issue backstage. Top Dollar and Hit Row, reportedly an issue backstage. I'm not buying it. I'm not. I think these pieces are put out by the WWE to try to justify why they're doing it. I don't care that you're releasing people. Right now, the industry is healthy. There's a lot of places to work. These people are great. They're going to get a job somewhere. But at the same time, too, it's what you do after that says it all. And I think that's where the issue with WWE is. Top Dollar has every right to be upset. And I think Top Dollar has every right to do what he's doing on social media. But I think it's very important for Top Dollar to also realize, yeah, dude, you're kind of tweeting too much. And the fans that like you, they're going to love what you're doing. And the fans that love AEW and everything else, they are going to take an issue with you without even knowing how cool you actually are. And I think that's the issue. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Kiera Hogan. If you guys don't remember her, well, I don't blame you. Kiera Hogan was an Impact Wrestling star, and she was actually a former Knockout Women's Championship tag team champion with Tasha Steelz. And basically, Kiera Hogan signed with AEW and really hasn't been used very much. She actually came out and discussed this. Basically, she was saying how she likes everybody in the AEW's women, in the locker room, the women's division, like everybody's great. There's a lot of people she wants to work with. There's a lot of people that want to work with her, but she feels like she's getting lost in the shuffle. Now, this is actually not something that we hear about pretty often with AEW because, quite honestly, AEW has built a reputation for being a great place to work. And it's not that Kiera Hogan is like exposing AEW or taking shots at AEW, but she is saying something factual. She is lost in the shuffle. She's not being used. And obviously, nobody's going to be happy about their position when that happens. I think Kiera Hogan was a great name in Impact Wrestling. And I think she can be a great name in AEW. The problem is a 2-hour show and a 1-hour Rampage. It's just, there's not enough time, so you're often relegated to Dark and Elevation. There's got to be a solution here to get more people featured. And I don't know what that solution is, but we will talk about this more in depth on Ango in the morning because I do think it is a very, very important discussion. Because now wrestling is getting crowded. AEW can't sign everybody. And that's going to be the issue because there are tons of free agents out there and AEW should sign them. So ultimately, time will tell. I want to know what you guys think. And if you guys want, I always post videos here on a daily basis, even when times are rough. Please, please, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. And don't forget to click the video somewhere on the screen if you guys want to watch a video that you may have missed. We talk about wrestling news every single day, so I would greatly appreciate you checking it out. Take care.